Hi and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann and today I want to show you an easy resist technique with gelatos. Gelatos pigment sticks are great for resist techniques, and here I've heat embossed a stencil design and then used gelatos on top to add color. You just wipe off the resist area and you have a really cool background for your cards, and of course it's really easy to do. So let me bring in a piece of plain white cardstock. This is what I'm going to be using to create my background, and this is a matte cardstock. And then I need to bring in my stencil. So the stencil I'm working with is a 6x6 stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and this is the Mini Oblongs. This is a really great and versatile stencil design, one created by one of the Crafter's Workshop designers, and her name is Kasia, and she is actually kind of a neighbor of mine. She lives in Warsaw, so Dzień dobry, Kasia. And I'm going to take the stencil and then just simply tape it down onto my white cardstock. Now you'll notice I'm using some washi tape for this. You can use masking tape, you can use stencil tape, you can use whatever you have on hand. I'm tacking this down not only to the cardstock but also to my craft sheet on here, just for some added security. Then I can get out my embossing ink, and I'm using the Versamark, and this is a watermark stamp pad. It works beautifully for embossing techniques. And then of course I want to have out my embossing powder on hand, and this is from WOW. This is the Opaque Seafoam White Superfine, and this is going to be our resist medium. So what I'm going to do is just pop off the lid of my embossing ink and start pressing it through the stencil. Now I'm not squashing it down really hard, but I am using some firm pressure because I do want to make sure that I get that ink through all of the open areas of my stencil. And the Versamark is great because it's not such a juicy ink pad that I have to worry about it seeping underneath the stencil design. So then, working pretty quickly, I need to remove my tape, and then I'm going to carefully remove my stencil as well. I want to make sure that I don't slide it off. I want to instead lift it off so I don't smear any of that ink. And I think as I'm tilting this, maybe you can see some of the dark areas of the embossing ink on there. So then what I'll do is bring in another piece of white paper and my white embossing powder. I realize it's really difficult to see, but as soon as I get this on, I think you'll be able to see the difference. So I'm just going to slide this down onto my piece of scrap paper right into that folded bit. Then I can use this to funnel that embossing powder back into the jar, and I think you can see my embossing on here where that embossing powder has stuck to my embossing ink. Then I just need to heat set this, and when I do, I will have a piece that looks like this. And so now I think you can really see the raised area and that tone-on-tone white effect. So now I can bring in my gelatos and start coloring with those. And the two that I'm working with are lemon and tangerine. Now these are from Faber-Castell, fantastic tools for resist techniques. If you've never used them before, they're super easy to use. They're in a package kind of like a lip balm or a lipstick. You can twist up the barrel and expose some more of this pigment color, and then you just scribble it on like so. And you don't need to be terribly careful. I'm really not trying to work into any of these areas because as soon as I get that lemon on there, I'm going to come back in with a damp baby wipe, kind of crumple up a corner of it, and start blending this. So I think now you can see that pattern emerging even more. It looks really cool with this lemon. So I'm just working this in, and this is where I can really get the color blended in between all of those embossed areas of the design. So like so, and then I'm going to bring the baby wipe to a cleaner section, and you really just need to keep twisting this so that you're working with a clean area, and remove the gelato from the resist area. So you can see how that embossing powder is really repelling the gelato. So you can just wipe this all off. Now I could stop here and it looks really fresh and fun and colorful, but I want to add a little bit more color. So I'm going to come in with the tangerine. And again, I'm not covering the entire piece. I'm really just kind of scribbling it on here. And then I'm going to bring back one of my still yellow pieces. It's okay if it's a little bit dirty. And then blend this in as well. So you don't need a lot of the gelato color. One reason why I like the gelatos so much is that they last you a really, really long time. They're excellent value. Okay, so now I have that color applied, and same process. I'm just going to wipe off the excess like so, and then you can also get a dry tissue and really buff that and remove all of the color from those embossed areas. Or you can leave on some of the color in there for kind of a tone-on-tone effect. And then you have your embossed resist gelato background. So really cool and very easy. So let me bring back in my original card and we can talk about how I put it together. I like matting resist pieces up on white cardstock because I think the white really helps with the contrast of the embossing powder. Now, as we noted, we're using the opaque seafoam white embossing powder, and you could always swap out different colors of white. I know it sounds kind of funny to think that there are different colors of white, but there's like a pearl white, there's a really bright white, so you can experiment with different kinds of white embossing powders. It's going to give you a different look. And of course, there are lots of different colors of gelatos too. So I've just simply put this up onto white, mounted it onto gray. I've got a little bit of velvet ribbon going across here. I really like this look of adding buttons in all four corners, but the buttons, although they are all the same color and they're the same size roughly, they're a little bit different finishes, and some have 4 holes and some have 2 holes. So I like it being a little bit mismatched, but still within the same kind of general shape and size category. And then I've got a stamp sentiment mounted up onto some die cut labels. The stamp that I'm using is from the Eclectica ESN15 stamp set. This is one of mine from PaperArtsy, and it's the one here that says, "Believe you can and you're halfway there," which is a really inspiring sentiment, one that I like a lot, and that's from Theodore Roosevelt. So I've stamped this with black onto white cardstock and then also did some die cutting. Now the die cuts that I'm using are the 6 layered labels and 2 swirls. These are from hot off the press. And I use this large one for the black and then this smaller one here for the white. And it just was the perfect size on there. And a little knotted piece of that velvet ribbon and I'm set to go. So this is how you can do a simple resist using your gelatos. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please stop by my website at saranaumann.com. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I will keep you updated with a new video every Wednesday. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I will see you again next time.